All right, so this is some pretty crazy stuff going on here. Essentially, what happened here is we all thought that Bernie Sanders was appearing on the Krystal Kyle and Friends podcast. Obviously, Krystal Ball and Kyle Kulinski, the hosts of said podcast. But what ended up happening that was very bizarre, and you can even actually see this on the Seculartalk page. You can see Krystal Ball and Bernie Sanders, but there's somebody missing from the Krystal Kyle and Friends podcast. And what makes this even more bizarre, obviously, is that you can see it says Bernie's dire warning for Dems, Trump can win again. It's posted on the Secular Talk channel, and you don't see any Kyle Kulinski in this interview. So the question is, what exactly happened, and why exactly did Kyle Kulinski not appear on the Bernie Sanders interview? Now, obviously, a lot of people going to have their speculation, of course, as to what exactly went down. It appears that in the full podcast episode, in the beginning, Kyle does talk about what exactly happened. He doesn't even appear to be sure as to what exactly went down. He only has speculation to give. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play the video of him talking about it so you guys can hear out Kyle, and then we'll kind of talk about what potentially went down as to, okay, why exactly was Kyle not in the interview. And he's basically going to say, a little bit of a spoiler alert, he was basically kicked off his own show.
So it's pretty interesting talking to him.
Yeah, so this episode is a little bit bittersweet for me because, I love the fact that you got to talk to Bernie, and I have full faith and confidence in your abilities. I know you're going to do an amazing job, but I'm not in this interview, and there's a reason why I'm not in this interview. So, you could probably give the timeline better than me, but they reached out to you and basically said, yeah, we'll do an interview under the condition it's only you. Correct?
Yes. So that was that. We actually didn't reach out to them.
See, you say that, but I feel like months ago you did reach out to them and invite them. And then now, like months later, they finally responded and they were like, sure, but only you.
I actually can't. You're probably right, because probably at the beginning of the podcast,
yes.
I probably did reach out to them. But it has been, that request has long expired. So they reached out. The senator was very frustrated with the media not asking him a single decent question. So I think they wanted to have a place where they thought they'd get a more substantive discussion. I've interviewed him a couple times before, and for whatever reason, that was the very first thing they led with when they reached out to me, was like, want to do this interview, but really want it to be just you. They were also kind of open on whether it would live here or with breaking points. So it wasn't just you that they didn't want. It was also Sagar that they didn't want.
You made it seem like it was relatively non-negotiable that they wanted to talk to you. It was like a hard line kind of. Like, sure, we'll do it, but this is the condition.
Yes.
Yes. So, am I butthurt over that? Yes. I'm very butthurt over that. I supported Bernie more than anybody in 2016, more than anybody in 2020. I got him on Joe Rogan. That's, you could talk to Faj Shakir, his campaign manager. I'm the one who set all that up.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair.
To sort of be thrown under the bus in a way. And whether it's Sagar or me, Sagar, he'll even tell you he's more Bernie's ideological enemy than I am.
Yeah.
And so to be somebody who's more ideologically aligned with him and supported him as much as I did, and for him to just be like, I'm going to kick you off your own show, that stung. I didn't like that. I was talking to Korn about it, and he was like, really? Why would he do that? I was like, I don't fucking know. So you tell me. Your theory was like, oh, it's just he likes you, and so he wants to do it with only you. My theory's more, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to involve me or Sagar. And in the case of me, maybe it's because I called him a cuck repeatedly.
It could be.
If he saw that.
Could be.
But I kind of doubt he saw that. You know what I mean?
I honestly, it's very hard to say what the behind the scenes looks like. I honestly would be surprised if it was like personal to you or personal to Sagar. I think it was more, this is I have no idea, right? All I know is that it was presented to me as like, we want to do this interview and give you a good chunk of time, but we want it to be a one-on-one, and like that's a stipulation. So they were open on which platform. They were open on how we promote it. You'll see the conversation, like it's definitely not a softball interview, and it's wide-ranging and all that stuff. So they were open on all of those pieces, came in the studio, which I also appreciated because it makes for a better conversation. But that was like the one thing they were hard on is it needs to be one-on-one.
The other possibility, like you pointed out, I don't know how much I buy this, but the other possibility is that maybe his manager or agent or his comms person doesn't like me or Sagar and was like, we just want it to be only you. So that's another possibility.
Or knows that the senator has a certain knows who I am. I know he knows who you are too, but had, a certain comfort level with me or whatever, and just had me in mind.
So he was on my show during the campaign.
Yeah.
And that was more, I think what happened there was Faz Shakir, the campaign manager, I set up the Rogan interview, and then they felt like the right thing to do is to give Kyle an interview. I didn't even ask for an interview because I didn't do interviews then. So I didn't even really want an interview, but they were like, do an interview because basically like, let me pay you back for the Rogan thing.
For getting you the Rogan
thing.
thing.
And so, the one thing, this is obvious, everybody will know this, but they gave me 15 minutes and it was like in-out quick interview. I asked like 4 fucking questions.
Yeah.
But,
especially because he's not a short-winded person.
Yeah, so you just get the sense. But that's
off.
the thing that's a little frustrating is that you do get the sense that it's sort of looked down his nose at certain people. And I think he does have this contradictory belief where he talks all the time about, oh, we love independent media and we want independent media to grow. And it's like, well, all the people who were part of the Justice Democrats and were in the squad were more than happy to go on all these left-wing shows when we were helping them get elected. And now that they are elected and now that they're not really fulfilling their mission, it's like all of a sudden when we get tiny bit critical of them, gone. And so it's like you don't really actually want a thriving independent media because that actually does mean more tough questions for you, and you're willing to dismiss or overlook or not pay attention to and not go on any of the shows that were huge supporters of you. So I kind of think it's bullshit. Right-wing media always has right-wing politicians, and they feed each other, they echo each other's arguments, and there's like a bond there. And on the left, I mean, that's not the case. But you know what? At this point, I should really stop complaining because the fact of the matter is, I don't want to have any sort of relationship with any of these people, whether it's politicians, whether it's other people in the media space. I mean, I've seen what happens in the past and recently with stuff like that. And it's like, it's just a drain and it's a waste and it's mental energy wasted and it's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, I think why it's important is because there's 2 ways for media to really matter and have an impact, which is, the goal of media is to matter and have an impact ultimately. One is just to have a large audience, right? Which you have. The other, though, is you have to have sort of like elite awareness of what's going on in that space if you're looking to influence policymakers and the people who, run this country and run the world. And so it helps a lot in that latter category to have people like Bernie Sanders or AOC or any member of Congress who, is going on those platforms and sort of bridging that divide between alternative media and these elite spaces. Because otherwise they pretend like the large audiences don't exist. They pretend like the whole space and genre and whatever is like irrelevant and doesn't exist at all, even as we get higher views than CNN or higher views than MSNBC or whatever. So that's part of why I think it matters, this conversation about whether left politicians are actually engaging with these spaces.
Yeah. So what I want to do is we'll have the interview here, and then I want to respond to it, break it down, get your thoughts on it, and then also, I'll tell everybody, had I been there, which I wanted to be there, had I been there, the questions I would have asked.
Well, we also should say you gave me that list of questions beforehand, too, of things that you were thinking of. And I think there are a lot of things that either you or I were interested in and would have asked, but definitely informed the interview, some of the things that you sent. So
that's useful. Why ultimately, I'm not going to lie to everybody. My initial reaction when I was told, he wants to come on your show but kick you off, my reaction was like, fuck him. No, I don't want him on the show. How about that? That was my initial reaction. But when I'm not as emotional and I'm a little more calm and rational about it, yes, you think through it and you realize, number one, you're a phenomenal interviewer and you're going to ask great questions. And number two, I could write down a bunch of questions that I would have asked and give you the list, and you can determine which you think are fair and which ones you think maybe aren't. And then you'll, incorporate that into your questions. So even though I'm not there, I am some percentage there because some of the questions were inspired by some of the things that I showed you. So,
no doubt about it.
When I'm more calm and rational about it, yes, we ended up doing what is the right thing, and you sat down and you interviewed him. But yes, I'm not going to lie, the irrational lizard part of my brain was like, he can go fuck himself. You're not coming on my show and kicking me off. Fuck out of here.
Fair.
So you guys just saw it there. I actually wasn't even able to play the full clip just because it's too long. But the various things that he says in there, he has different hypotheses as to what exactly went down. Now, those hypotheses range from, was it maybe him that didn't want him to interview? Was it Bernie Sanders that didn't want Kyle to interview him? Was it his media team? Why did his media team potentially not want him to interview him? So apparently what they said there was Bernie had reached out to Krystal. Kyle says that it was after they had already reached out to him months ago. So it was kind of weird. Krystal Ball was obviously a very big supporter of Bernie Sanders. She was basically like a quasi, ambassador or something like that, or a secretary for him on news media outlets. She was really the only one on mainstream media outlets that was supporting him. But she did end up being very critical of Bernie Sanders after he dropped out and endorsed Joe Biden. Kyle followed the same path. Now, you'll remember that Kyle actually interviewed Bernie Sanders in a very, very brief interview. He gave the backstory to that. Faid Shakir, I guess, set him up with that because Kyle set up the Rogan interview. So that was kind of what went down with that. It just makes it even weirder, to be honest, that he would do that. But there is one thing that I can confidently rule out. The thing that I can confidently say did not happen is Bernie Sanders definitely was not the one who knew. I don't even think Bernie Sanders knows who Kyle Kulinski is, even though he interviewed him. I don't think he really knows who he is, and I really don't believe even for a second that it was Bernie Sanders who read a Kyle Kulinski tweet or watched one of his videos, which I don't think he does either of those, and then came to the conclusion, we will not do an interview with Kyle Kulinski. No chance. I say 0% chance that happened. I guarantee you it was his media team that made the decision. Guarantee it for sure. There's no way it was Bernie Sanders. He's simply too busy. He's way too big. He's way too old. There's no way this dude's not scrolling through YouTube watching Seculartalk videos or scrolling through Twitter. I don't even think it's him that tweets physically like Trump would. I'm sure it's somebody else tweeting for him. He probably tells them what to say or whatever. This guy's very old. That's just not who Bernie is. So there's no way. Here's a tweet that would maybe piss off his, media team. It's a tweet from him. This was August 20th. Someone says, Sanders declines to endorse in the Massachusetts Senate primary. Pelosi endorsed Kennedy today. He says nice thing about his colleague Ed Markey, but says he's not going to weigh in. Kyle responds saying, what a fucking cuck, is what you can see there. So this is one of those things that could have been seen by the media team. Kyle was definitely very outspoken against Bernie Sanders and criticizing Bernie Sanders post-dropout. And also during the election, a lot of the criticism I think that Kyle had levied were definitely very legitimate. I thought that Bernie Sanders was simply too weak. He didn't attack Joe Biden at all. We saw that Obama's way to win was to absolutely scorch the House down against Hillary Clinton. He went completely bulldoze mode. That's how Obama won, and Bernie didn't say shit about Joe Biden. So that was a very big mistake. An equation where there's a candidate with massive default support, and then you're not going to antagonize them, how the hell are you going to win? It doesn't make any sense. I don't even know how it's possible. So Kyle was saying the similar stuff. So he went really scorched earth. Krystal Ball and a lot of people did as well. I think that's stuff that his media team has seen. And I think that's most likely the reason why they said we don't want him to do an interview with Kyle Kulinski. Okay, that's what I think happened. Obviously, I don't know. I have no clue. I really don't know at all. The one thing I can confidently say is Bernie Sanders did not view this tweet. Bernie Sanders didn't see anything Kyle said. He's way too old. He's way too big. There's no way he would have done that. It's just not possible. I don't even think he knows who Kyle is. They also mentioned that his team kind of specified that we only want Krystal, we don't want Sagar either, so just solo Krystal interview. That's what they appeared to specifically state. So that's something to note. So whether or not, what exactly went down, obviously you saw Kyle there. He has the thing about Kyle is, he'll obviously have Jimmy Dore-like reactions to stuff where it's very emotional, like you could see there. Hey man, I was a big supporter of your show. Fuck you for trying to kick me off. But then, he calms down and he says, okay, I'm not I'm not going to do that. Krystal can do the interview, which I thought was big of him. I would obviously be personally offended as well if something like that were to happen. Is this a good sign for Bernie Sanders? I would definitely say no. What does it mean about Bernie Sanders and his media team? Probably not a good sign. I don't know if they didn't want tough questions on stuff. I mean, I don't know. I guess that was something that he had even said in the interview that was important, was that the media actually asked real questions. So I don't know. He also mentioned a quote there, and I don't know if I included it in the clip or not, but he says that the squad are hypocritical. The progressive congressional members are very hypocritical for basically their only media outlet on the rise up is lefty online media, and then once they get elected, they don't come anymore. It's very, very true. That's very stupid. Very, very dumb, because you're not emboldening independent media in any way. So how are you going to get rid of the corporate media if you're just... Now all you do is go on corporate media. You can do both. I'm not saying do one or the other, but you can do both. You can give exclusive interviews even to online left-wing publications and YouTube channels. Now, obviously, there's a lot of incendiary folks who are just, straight-up morons like Jimmy George or whatever, but that kind of makes it a little bit tough. But this is definitely a pretty crazy deal here. Bernie Sanders kicked Kyle Kulinski off of his own show. I don't even know why they wouldn't just do like a solo interview with Krystal Ball independent of Krystal Kyle and Friends. I don't really know, but I think that it was his media team probably saying we don't want Kyle in an interview. Was it a retributive thing? Was it to get retribution? Was it a revenge move? Was it a fear move on the part of we don't want hard questions for Bernie Sanders? To that, I really could not tell you what the answer is, to be quite frank with you. I really have no idea. But what we do see here is some, I would say, concerning stuff from the Bernie Sanders crew. But let me know what you think about this down below. Definitely a pretty big deal.